Hi guys, Alastair here, and today we're going to test the Nike Vapor Flex driver from last year against the new Vapor Flex 440. So 10 balls in total with each driver. I've already hit kind of half a dozen with each. We're going to measure it on SkyTrack, hopefully show you guys a bit of ball flight, just see who comes out on top. I have done separate review videos on both, so I'm not going to get into the technical specs of it, but let's hit the last 4 shots with the Vapor from last year. So this was my driver for last year. Performed great, really enjoyed having it in the bag. And I know exactly how this performs. Probably still get the odd one to turn over a little bit, but certainly found last year that probably shaped this driver less than anything I'd had previously. And the reason I'm just going to try and hit 10 shots is to give you a good average on the shots. Pretty straight. So SkyTrack's closed data, so the fact that I think it's 1 degree down here today isn't going to make too much of a difference. But I know this feels nice and solid. Get a good flight on it. A little bit out the toe. And again, like we always expect to see, launches a bit higher. Looks like it spins a little bit less. And one final one with the Flex. I've got both of them set 9.5 with the Flex Flight set at low spin. So in theory, these are both set to spin as little as possible. And although not all of those perfect, maybe a couple slightly towards the heel out of the 10, we're going to switch on to the Flex 440. And I'm always interested when manufacturers bring new technology out as to how it improves. You know, I think the days of it going further and further are kind of over if you've been fitted well. I mean, certainly for me, hit this quite a bit the last few days. It kind of feels a bit more forgiving than last year's model. Don't think last year's wasn't forgiving, because I think I hit plenty of shots, as you guys all know, watching my videos, that aren't flush out the middle, and it still gave me pretty good numbers. But this one does just feel maybe a little bit more forgiving. We'll see on the numbers at the end whether that is the case. And certainly for me, I've spoken a lot about this with the videos I've done this, the sound is different. And I still think, even though I've had this few days now, still takes a little bit of getting used to the noise. Having grown up playing persimmon and having maybe that different noise growing up, it's maybe a little bit closer to that kind of noise than the modern high shrill that you get off the clubs. That's right out the screws. I mean, just by eye, it looks like this kind of maybe just launches a little bit higher, spins a little bit less, but again, over 10 shots, might not see much of a difference in there. So one final one, and then we'll take a look at some numbers, and then there's no arguing, it's all down to science. Oh, that's ripped. Okay guys, so let's look at some numbers from SkyTrack and see how the Vapor Flex 440 compares to the Flex driver. Okay then guys, so we'll look at the numbers for the 10 shots with each driver. Got the Flex driver on top and the 440 underneath. Average ball speed, 1 mile an hour in it. Club head speed exactly the same. Flex driver actually did launch slightly higher, which surprised me, and did spin a little bit more. So probably down to strike consistency there more than anything, or possibly the Flex 440 a little bit more forgiving. Carry exactly the same, and the Flex 440 just edging it by a couple of yards, but predominantly that's just down to a little bit less spin. Right guys, so we can see there's absolutely nothing in it. I mean, performance-wise, I know that the Flex performs well for me because I was fitted for it, and I know that even though the spin was a fraction high, that's probably down to me just being a little bit spread with the strike on there. When I compare the new one to the old one, looks-wise, last year's looks very classic. I actually really like the look of the new one. I think it kind of looks a bit bigger and more forgiving when it sits behind the ball. Feel-wise, I think the more I hit with that, I really love the feel of that. Performance-wise, there was nothing in it, was there? So I think the key is, if you've got last year's Flex driver, you might not see a massive difference in upgrading to this one. I've had a few guys who had the Covert 2.0 Tour who didn't move into Flex that I already know will definitely move into that. Key thing for you guys is to go down, try it, get fitted, see if it performs for you. Thank you so much for taking the time to watch the videos as ever. Subscribe to my channel if you haven't already. Hopefully see some of you guys down here in the future. Stay in contact.